It's actually raining here too. I see that Rejoice just said in the comments it's raining in the Philippines. It's also raining here in San Diego. So if you hear any noises, it might be the cabinets being blown a little bit by the wind outside. Hi, thank you for joining me live. Let me quickly just cover what to expect from this video. I'm going to define beat and we'll practice identifying the beat in a bunch of example songs. We'll talk about the difference between beat and rhythm. We'll talk about meter, also called time signature. That's the same thing. We'll talk about tempo and how to practice with a metronome. We'll talk about timing, how to enter on time, counting the beats or measures before you begin singing so that you don't come in too early or too late. We'll talk about a concept called subdividing, which is going even deeper into counting beats, counting subdivisions of each beat. We'll talk about some rhythm exercises for singers, and then as always, last 10-15 minutes will be reserved for Q&A, but you can ask questions throughout. I'll be checking on the comment section every now and then. Okay, also encourage you to look in the video description. I have some resources for you. Most of these are going to be for you to peruse after this lesson, but 2 of them we'll use during the lesson. So there's 2 articles on popular songs in 3/4 time and 6/8 time. And then the last 2 resources on that list, a tool to find the BPM, beats per minute, or tempo of any song just by tapping on your keyboard. It's a pretty cool resource that I've used. And a good metronome that we'll use a little bit later. Okay, so first, just defining what beat is. Beat in any piece of music, whether it's instrumental or vocal, is the steady pulse. So when you hear the word beat, think heartbeat. Obviously, your heartbeat might fluctuate a little bit, but it should stay pretty steady. So within a song, typically the beat is going to remain consistent, remain steady, whereas the rhythm changes. So whatever the melody is doing, whatever the instruments are doing, they are playing rhythms, and sometimes an instrument might play the beat. They might play along with the beat, but typically they're going to deviate from the beat and play something else. So the question to ask yourself first, when you hear beat, think heartbeat, steady, underlying, and you might hear it in some instruments, but you might not. And then the other question to ask yourself is, if I was marching along with this song, or if I was tapping my foot, what would I be tapping? What would I be tapping along with? You wouldn't be going like this. That would be the rhythm. You would be clapping like, or marching. It would be steady. So I think rather than continue talking about it, let's find some examples, and I'm going to play it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it picked up on the mic pretty well. I'm going to play it on my phone. This is music from the YouTube audio library, so it is copyright free and mostly instrumental. Hi, Tyler. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to play a song, and before I start clapping or counting, see if you can identify the beat, meaning what feels like the heartbeat or the steady pulse that's underlying. Okay, so again, easier to just do than keep talking about. Okay, here's our first example. Okay, so what were you tapping your foot along with? It wouldn't have been da 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 da, because that's the rhythm, that's changing. What you should have felt as the beat, and I hope you felt, you could actually hear the drum going ta 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 ta. And if you were tapping along with that, it would be, this time I'll clap along with you. Ooh. If I can, there we go, start precisely where the song starts. This will be tricky. Okay. Here goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Okay, so the instruments are doing all kinds of stuff, da 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 da, and you can hear the drums going ta 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 ta. But that steady beat, that steady pulse that you're tapping your feet to or nodding your head to, maybe you would clap to it, that is the beat. Okay, here's another example. Okay, so the beat under there, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you could think of it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the rhythm itself is going da 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 da. That's not the beat. That's changing. So let me rewind a little bit, and as you're nodding your head, tapping your foot, let's identify the beat together. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay. Another example, I hope it's getting easier as we go along. Okay, example number 3. And from here on out, I'll hang back for maybe a measure or two, and then I'm going to jump in. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. New example. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a hard one. Okay, number 5. Ooh, this is hard too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen for the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was a hard one. So if you're feeling totally lost, the thing that's probably going to be playing most of the beats is going to be the drums. Again, they're going to be doing different stuff, but they'll probably be supplying you some of the beat. The drummer in a band, they're the instrumentalist who's responsible for keeping time. So, if you've ever seen a drummer count off going 1, 2, 3, 4, they are counting the beat and getting all of the instrumentalists on the same page. And then what they play, sometimes you might hear the kick drum going boom, 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 boom. That's also the beat. Okay, example number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. How's this going? Let me know if this is making sense. Okay, Rejoice Kate is saying, got it right. Awesome. Example number 7, I'm going to stop at 10. So we are almost done with this, but I hope this is kind of clicking. Okay, so if you just listen to the piano going da 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 da, something like that, that is a rhythm. That's not the beat. The length of the notes that they're playing, ba 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 ba, that's not steady. We are looking for the underlying steady beat that doesn't change. So listen carefully. I want to say an instrument is going to come in soon. That's going to establish the beat a little more clearly for us. Let's see. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. The drums will help you. Okay, this is example number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Example 9. This is a fun one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear ba 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 ba? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, last example. This is hard. Wait for the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to pause right there. So if you wanted to go back and look at those, you could. I can put the link for you. Anyways, beat something easier to feel and hear than to describe in words. So hope that was making sense. So beat versus rhythm, we've already said this many times, but our rhythm changes. It's built on the beat, but it's typically not just 1, 2, 3, 4. How boring would that be? But like I said before, you are going to hear the drummer establishing the beat, and you might hear their kick drum, that low boom, 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 or bass drum. You might hear that establishing the beat in a steady way. And if you ever hear or see a drummer counting off, going 1, 2, 3, 4, or tapping their sticks together, 1, 2, 3, 4. They are establishing the beat right there. So this is an excellent time to talk about meter or time signature. So the meter or time signature is just how those beats are divided, or how you feel that pulse. So all of the examples that we just practiced with were in a meter or a time signature that we call 4/4. What that means is there are 4 beats per measure, and that those beats are all equal to a quarter note. Now, we're not going to talk about quarter notes today, but all we want to talk about is how many beats there are per measure. So if you can count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then you are in some kind of 4 meter. A really good contrast to this would be songs in 3/4 or songs in 6/8. So if you're familiar with the song Amazing Grace, you can't count Amazing Grace 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we sing Amazing Grace, how 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so there are pop songs in 3/4 and 6/8 and other meters, but the vast majority are going to be in 4/4. So as you're counting beats and practicing this on your own, most of the time you're going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and over again. I do want you to look quickly, though. Let's look together on this resource. So popular songs in 3/4 time. Go ahead and go to the video description and let's take a look. So they talk about accented beats, and how in 4/4 you might have an accent on 1 and 3. You might have an accent on beats 2 and 4. So in that kind of reggae example, remember the accents were going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, in 3/4, your first beat is almost always going to be accented or given a little bit more stress. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You can think of a waltz if you've ever learned to waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So let's see if we can find some good popular examples of songs in 3/4. Ooh, Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson is in 3/4. I need to remind myself how that goes. It's Oh So Quiet by Bjork. It's oh so quiet. Shh, shh. That's in 3/4. And then that actually changes meter when it goes to the da 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 da. That's a great example. It's Oh So Quiet by Bjork starts in 3/4 and then goes to 4/4 on the chorus. Interesting. Let's see. So this is going through a lot of Manic Depression, Jimi Hendrix, We Can Work It Out, My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. We count that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you try to count it in 4, it doesn't work too well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You get lost really, really quickly. Bob Dylan, Times They Are a Changin', come gather round people. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So you'll feel there's a really distinct difference between 4/4 and 3/4. Okay. So when we are talking about meter or time signature, a lot of pop songs are in 4/4. I want to quickly point out if you've ever heard someone go 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a distinction that I learned growing up dancing and then going to college for music. In the world of dance, they count things out in eights. So you learn choreography typically in basically 2 measures at a time. And dancers count out music going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. In music, we don't do that. We count measure by measure. So we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, just throwing that out there if you are counting off for a band in any circumstance, you'll count off 1 measure at a time, not 2, as dancers do. If you're a dancer, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's talk about tempo and how to practice with a metronome. Tempo is just the speed of the beat. So tempo and BPM, or beats per minute, that's what we're talking about. So tempo determines the speed of the beat and the rhythm will fit within that. So if we increase the tempo or the amount of beats per minute, that means our song is going faster. If we decrease the tempo, we've decreased the amount of beats per minute, that means we're going slower. So let's practice together counting beats with a metronome. So this is kind of one way to practice improving your rhythm and your sense of beat as a singer. It's the last resource. It says metronome and it's musica.com/metronome. Let us see if I will be able to hear it, if it's going to come out and, beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to increase the volume. So go ahead and navigate to the site, but just listen to the click that's coming from me right now, because chances are we are not going to line up exactly. So once you open this metronome, for me, it's set already at 100 BPM or 100 beats per minute. So if you press start, then it'll start counting for you or clicking. Notice something with me. The first beat is pitched slightly higher. So it goes bop, 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 to help you not get lost. If all of the beats were bop, 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 you might get lost. So usually a good metronome will have a click that's pitched slightly higher on beat 1, whether it's 4/4 or 3/4, bop, 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 or 4/4, which we're starting with, bop, 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 bop. So you always know where beat 1, also called the downbeat, is. So that can help you get back on track if you get lost. Okay, so you can adjust the tempo. So if I click the plus button or I just slide it over, let's go to 120 BPM. So 120 beats per minute, and let's hear the difference. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So here is the feature that I really, really like. Actually, let me get there in 1 second. Look down at the very bottom. See how there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on? That is your number of beats per measure or per bar. Measure, bar, same thing. So if you click 3 instead, now our beats per minute is going to stay the same, but we've got a different meter going on. So listen to 3, 4, 120 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, here is our first exercise. Your first exercise can just be clapping along with that beat, and your goal is for the sound of the click to disappear. If you're clapping perfectly on top of that beat, the sound of the click is going to disappear. If you can still hear the click really prominently, the click is probably a little bit early or a little bit after you're clapping, and you are okay, in this equation, the metronome is going to be correct. You are the person who can make an error. So our metronome is correct. If you're hearing the metronome and you're not covering it up with your clap, that means you're either too late or too early. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's practice this. And obviously, this will be better when you do it on your own. That's why, save this website. But okay, I'm going to pop that BPM down to, let's say, 110. And I'm going to go back to 4/4. And I'm going to clap. I'm just going to snap so it's not so loud on the mic. But I'm going to listen to it first. I'm going to internalize the beat, feel it in my brain and in my body. And then I'm going to start clapping. I'm not just going to, jump in. Okay, here goes. So what we're practicing is clapping or snapping along to the beat and doing it so accurately that the beat or the sound of that click disappears because we are one. Okay, so there was a time in there where I couldn't hear the click anymore because my clap was happening at the very same time. And then towards the end, I started to slow down a little bit and I started to hear the click again. So that's a really, really good exercise for you to do. Here's an even more advanced version of this. Looking at your screen, musica.com/metronome. Under Start, tap Tempo, play 1 bar and mute 1 bar. This is money. This is amazing. So if you click that little button, so it'll turn green. Now listen. Okay, it took a second to get with the program, but so it's clicking for 1 measure, 2, 3, and silent, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and silent, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to stop. The reason this is so good is it's forcing you now to internalize that beat, to keep hearing and feeling the beat even when you don't have the metronome. So you're hearing the click for 1, and then in that in that bar or measure of silence, you have to keep the beat steady. So what you can do to increase the difficulty is you can actually, I know it doesn't look like you can change it, but you can change those numbers. So right now it's set on play 1 bar and mute 1 bar, but I could change this. I could go play 1 bar and mute 2 bars. That way I'm having to keep that beat steady for 2 measures rather than just 1. Okay, let's practice. I'm at 110 BPM, 4/4, and I'm going to play now. It should play 1 bar of click and mute 1 bar. And how you'll know if you're doing this correctly is when the click comes back, are you in time with it, or did you come in too early or too late? Okay, let's try it. Okay, I'm going to snap this time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doing pretty good. And by the way, I closed my eyes because I can see on the screen. So I was closing my eyes to challenge myself. Oh, I was off that time. Did you hear that? So I wasn't paying really close attention and I came in too early. The reason I know that is I snapped and then I heard the click. Okay, so obviously ways to make this more challenging would be to increase the beats per minute when it's going by. Actually, you know what? It's challenging to increase and it's also challenging to decrease. Let me show you how hard this can be. Okay, so 110 BPM, that feels pretty good, right? What if I drop all the way down to 60 beats per minute? Now, counting a slow beat you might think is easier, it is not. Okay? I'm going to start. 1 second. I'm just gonna. So Tyler is saying I'm off 1 second every time. This is tough. So Tyler, stay tuned because we're going to talk about subdivision and that will help you. Okay. And Rejoice had to sign off because it's 3:17 a.m. in the Philippines and they'll watch this later. Thank you. And last question before we jump back to our metronome. Tyler's asking, so would this be considered a 1/4, meaning every 4 seconds is a beat? Oh, okay. Every 4 seconds is a beat. I'm not sure where exactly you asked that question, but right now, what we're doing currently, 60 beats per minute will be 1 beat per second. Okay. Manuel says this feels like a drum class. Excellent. Okay, so let's listen to 60 beats per minute. I'm here, Musica, 60 beats, 4 beats per measure. Okay, so I'm going to start. See if you can internalize this beat, feel this slower beat, and it's harder than you think it's going to be. Oh, yeah. This is going to be so hard. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Ooh, I was off. Did you hear that? 1, 2, 3. Let me give myself a chance to actually sink into this. This is 60 BPM. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I was a little off still. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. So much harder than you think it's going to be. Okay, so this is where subdivision comes in. So rather than only counting what we'd call my big beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to divide those beats now. So this is how we divide beats. First, we put an and in between every number. So rather than counting 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to put an and halfway in between. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What we're doing here is we're counting eighth notes. So quarter notes, this is just math. So if you hate math, sorry. Quarter notes are what we were counting when we're in 4/4, 4 quarter notes per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cut a quarter in half and you have an eighth. So now we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The tempo did not change. This is where a lot of people get confused. They think, oh, now I'm counting faster, so the music is faster. The music is not faster. Our beat is still, we're using 60 BPMs, okay? So let me get that click going again. And I'm not doing the mute bar for the moment. 3, 4. I'm still 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so that is our first subdivision, is counting eighth notes or ands. This would be different if I actually did double the tempo. If I went back to 120 BPMs, 1, 2, 3, 4, I could subdivide that too. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... But that's not what we're doing. We're staying at 60 BPMs. We're just subdividing each beat. The reason this is helpful, especially at slower tempos, is it's giving you more markers, more kind of signposts along the way. It's really difficult to go 1, 2 with all that space in between. Much easier to go 1 and 2 and kind of sink into that. So really fast tempos might be difficult to play and sing, but really slow tempos are difficult to count. Okay, so let's practice this. We're practicing either counting just the big beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, or subdividing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Tempo's the same, 60 BPMs. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Add ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And let's try muting now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. I was still a little off, but I think I was closer. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So the slower you go, the harder that's going to be. Let's actually subdivide again. So rather than just counting the ands, now we're going to count, if you cut 8 in half or 1/8 in half, now we're going to get 1/16. How we count 1/16 are 1 E and 2 E and I know this is weird. It's okay. So eighth notes, we count 1 and 2 and 3, and those eighth notes are still there. So if you can see this visually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 E and 2 E and Tempo's the same. Big beats are steady. Eighth notes are steady. Now we're just subdividing. We're cutting that little pie of each beat into smaller slices. So counting 16th notes, I know it's weird. 1 E and Okay, so with our 60 BPMs, I'm going to start with the big beats, then add eighth notes, then add 16th notes. And let's see if this helps me to be better. I think it will. 2, 3. Oh, not muted. 1, 2, big beats. 1, 2, 3, 4 eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now adding 16ths. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a wow. Okay. I think that was the closest I've gotten. And that subdivision really, really helps. So what does this mean for you as a singer? Instead of just counting those big beats, especially if it's a slow song, you might want to feel that subdivision. And obviously, you're not going to tap your feet or clap along with that when you're actually singing a song, but you might feel that internally. You might count that in your brain. So Again, make it harder for yourself by going even slower. Play one bar and mute more than one bar. Very, very good exercise. Super, super good. Okay. Talking about now timing so that we can enter on time. So basically, as a singer, kind of the biggest danger zones for you are going to be your intro and then any instrumental interludes. Once you start singing, I would say most people have a pretty good sense of timing, making sure that their rhythm is matching the instrumental. They're typically not just running away with it or being super, super slow. Maybe, but counting those beats is really going to help you. But where I see the most issues is in the intro, not counting your intro correctly, and then any interludes where it's just instruments. Okay, so an example, if you're familiar with the song Someone You Loved by Lewis Capaldi, if we listen to the intro of that, the piano is playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so go ahead and listen to that. You can pull it up in a new tab if you want. I'm not going to play it for copyright reasons, but listen to the intro of that song. You're going to hear okay? And if you can count the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What you're hearing the piano doing is actually subdividing. It's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay? So count how many times you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Every time you start a new one, you're at the beginning of a new measure or a new bar. So counting that intro, I believe it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'm going under and it's... Now I could be wrong. It could be an 8-bar intro, but I think it's a 4-bar. Listen to it. Let me know in the comments. Okay. So if you know how many measures you have of rest or silence, then you are almost guaranteed to come in at the right time. If you don't know, if you're just guessing, that's when we get into trouble. You might enter a little too early or too late. Another aspect of timing is this concept of leading versus following. So in a live situation, typically the lead singer is leading the band. Now, the drummer has established the time, they've established the beat, but the lead singer is really in control of if they want things to go faster, speeding up a little bit, or if they want things to slow down, controlling that. This is difficult for an at-home singer singing with a karaoke track because obviously, in that circumstance, you're following the karaoke track. You are not in control of the tempo of that track. It is what it is. However, your mindset can be that you are the one leading. Instead of waiting for the track to tell you what to do, you can have the beat internalized to the point where it feels like you're leading. So you can be what we call on top of the beat rather than kind of falling behind. So here's my tip to help you do that. When you're listening to a song and learning it in the beginning, so say you're working on Someone You Loved by Lewis Capaldi, as a singer, you're probably going to be more tuned into his vocal, but I challenge you to tune your ears in to the instrumental more than the vocal. You've probably learned that melody. You could sing it in your sleep if you've heard it a couple times. It's a really catchy, easy to remember melody. So this is, step 2 for you is pay less attention to the melody once you feel like you have a handle on it, and pay attention to the instrumental. What cues are you getting from the band to tell you where you should be as a singer. That'll help you make that transition from listening to the song with the singer and then singing the song yourself with a karaoke track. So our goal is memorizing where to be with the track rather than just waiting for the singer and following them. Because ideally, you're graduating from listening to the singer to a karaoke track. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so we talked about subdivision, both hearing and feeling more than just those big beats. We practiced clapping eighth notes and 16th notes. Now, I want to talk to you about another subdivision we might feel, and this is called triplets. So rather than dividing each beat in half, 1 and 2 and, those are equal halves. We've got 1 and 2 and, right? Halves, two parts, same length or amount. We might divide those beats, depending on the style and the meter, we might divide those beats into thirds. So this is what we call triplets, meaning each big beat is divided into 3 instead of just 2. So the way that we would count this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. Notice we don't have any more E. We're not counting 16th notes. This is something different. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a. If you are singing a song in 6/8 or 12/8, those are technically not triplets. They are what we call compound time. So if you're going to do a deep dive into rhythm after this, you're going to come across the difference between simple meter and compound meter. Simple meter, we divide each beat evenly into halves. So 1 and 2 and 3 and, or 1E and a 2E and a, we're dividing evenly. Compound meter, we're dividing those big beats into 3. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. A really good example of this, actually 2 examples I'll give you. Sandcastles by Beyonce. We built sandcastle, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3 away. Oh, 4, 2, 3. Listen to the band to see if you can hear this. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. I don't know if they are in 6/8 or 12/8. It's kind of hard to tell the difference. Another example of, I want to say 12/8 feel is Tennessee Whiskey. Ding, 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 ding. Listen to the band. It's Tennessee Whiskey, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Okay, so if you come across simple meter versus compound meter, we're talking about how we divide big beats. Do we divide them into halves or into thirds? And simple is halves, compound is thirds. Okay, what we're talking about right now are triplets. So an example of a triplet, we sometimes have triplets even in simple meter. I know this is getting way, way confusing. But you might have a song that goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and there might just be a little moment with a triplet or kind of a taste of that compound meter. I don't have good examples of that off the top of my head, but I should think of some. Okay, so triplets are also the foundation of swing. So if you listen to a lot of jazz music, it might not be in compound meter. You might count it 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're not going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You're going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those eighth notes in swing feel are not even. Okay, if I'm losing you, I'm sorry. But we're talking about triplets because if you count those big beats, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, or 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 4 2 3, and if you eliminate that second triplet, if you go 1 3 1 3 2 3 3 3 4 3, then you're on your way to swung eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's different than 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let me play the metronome and I'll hopefully make this even more clear that our BPMs, our tempo can stay the same. I'm going to go to 90 BPMs. First, I'm going to do straight eighth notes. Oh, sorry, not muted. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now I'm going to swing those eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can think of it as that second eighth note for each big beat arriving late. Or you can think about it as triplets, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a. Okay, so a good example of this would be the intro to Feelin' Good. So listen to Nina Simone's Feeling Good, and the intro is going dun, da dun, da dun, da dun, da 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 dun, da dun, da dun, da dun, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1. Okay, that's a really good example of hearing something in 4 with triplet rhythms or swung eighth notes. It would be very, very awful to hear that song not swung. I don't even want to go there. Okay, so rhythm exercises for you. We already started working with the metronome, adjusting the tempo both faster and slower. And remember that slower is harder because you have to subdivide more. Muting one measure or two measures or three measures for a challenge. Here's another really cool exercise is to sing a song that you know well, with your metronome. Then see if you can cut your BPM in half and keep your tempo steady, or you can do what we already did, playing one measure, muting one measure, and seeing if you can keep that timing intact. So, an example. If I'm going to go back to my online metronome. I'm going to change it to 3 beats per measure because I'm going to sing the national anthem, "Oh, say, can you see?" And that's in 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. It is not in 4/4. Let's see a good tempo. We'll find it. That's fine. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Okay, so that's fine. Now I'm going to play one bar and mute one bar and see if I can keep that tempo consistent. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. So this is a good example because a lot of our lyrics are landing on the beat. So we're so gallantly streaming. Gallantly is landing on beat 1. Gallantly and streaming is also landing on beat 1. So it's really obvious if I was too late or too early. So we could, I guess this would be kind of the same thing if I just cut the tempo in half. I sort of like the playing one bar and muting one bar business. I kind of like that better. So take a look at your metronome. I actually had another resource that does this as well. If you look at the little button that says tap tempo, um, okay. Oh, this is great. So I'm just reading the comments really quick. Tyler says slightly off by like half a second, but a bit better. It's going to take some time. Also, Tyler, make sure that you're giving yourself multiple measures to like just absorb what the tempo is. If you jump straight in like I did sometimes, you haven't really established the tempo. So give yourself a little bit. Close your eyes, internalize that beat, and then jump in and start challenging yourself. Manuel is saying it's so good, yay! And okay, Kevin is saying yes, it is a 4-measure intro for someone you loved. Thank you. Tyler's saying his brain needs a few weeks to absorb all of this. Great. And Manuel is saying can't help falling in love. Wise men say only fools rush in. I think either it's in, yeah. Ooh, that's a really good point, Manuel. Wise men say only fools. I would say 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I would say maybe that's in 12/8. But you also could think about it as wise men say only fools. Like you could sing it just straight 8th notes. Fools rush in and 2 and 3 and but that would be boring. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's 12/8. Okay, and then Jack is asking how often do we stream? We have a live lesson an hour long every Saturday. Sometimes I have to change days due to a schedule conflict, but it's typically every Saturday, starting at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, jumping back to the metronome. I know I was doing something. Oh yeah, the tap tempo feature. So if I this I don't love. I don't think this feature works as well as it does on the other site. Okay, so look in the video description for me. It's the, what is it? Second to last resource on my resource list. And it says, find the BPM tempo of any song. Click that for me, please. It's beatsperminuteonline.com. So how this works is, well, it tells you, press any key or tap box below to the beat. So if you want to know what the beats per minute or what the tempo is of a certain song you're working on, you can find out this way. So if I used one of these songs from the YouTube library, it's a short clip. So actually, guys, let me do a longer song to actually try this. If you have questions, comments, please let me know. Okay, looking best song from the YouTube audio library. The best one. Okay, cool. So here's a royalty-free something or other. And hey, no ad. Okay. Two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. To figure it out, I'm tapping my space bar. Oh, there we go. 1. This is in 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to start tapping. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 3. So you'll see the number. The more that you're tapping along with that beat, the more accurate it's going to be. So it's going to start at one number and then it'll eventually get to a number and hover around there. So I got 120 as the BPM for that song. And let's check it against the metronome. It should be ba, 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 around there. So let's check it. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah. So that sounds right. That sounds like the beat that I was hearing. That was kind of a tough example to use because it was a little slow. It was in 3. Anyways, if you're curious to know what the BPM or tempo is of a song you're working on, you can just open that up, listen to the beat. Once you feel like you've got the beat, then tap either, that little orange, it's like an orange rectangle. So you can either tap there. I was just pressing my space bar because that's easy for me. And you're just tapping along with the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you've got the tempo or the BPM. Cool. So we have a couple more minutes just for questions. Let's have them. This was a really fun lesson to do. Okay, the Bop is asking, can you do a video on smoothly transitioning from one vocal register to another? We can absolutely do a part 2, but we already have one on, do we? You know what? Maybe we don't. Okay, what we do have is range extension within each register, and that will help you 100%. So I think that might have even been the very first live lesson we did on YouTube. So you might have to look, back a little bit, but the Bop, thank you for that. That's a really good suggestion. But in the meantime, go ahead and scroll back to like the very first live lesson we posted, and it's on range extension within each register, which will help you smooth out those transitions too. Tyler's asking, would singing off beat be considered dissonance? And do you have any tips for breath control during a fast beat? Singing off beat be considered dissonance? No, because dissonance, we're talking about pitch. So if I am singing off key, then I would have some unwanted dissonance. Singing off beat, you've opened up a little bit of a can of worms because, okay, if we're talking about incorrectly, like I'm wrong, yeah, we would just call that I'm off the beat, or I'm, too slow, too fast. But dissonance refers to pitch specifically. And then tips for breath control. I mean, the number one tip is going to be planning your breaths ahead of time. Because if you have long phrases to get through, then planning your breaths is more important than ever. And Tyler's saying some songs, I hear an artist off beat, but they mask it well. So, okay, this is why I said you've opened up a can of worms. You can be intentionally ahead of or behind the beat, and jazz artists do this a lot. We call it, there's a name for it, it's back phrasing. So, and a really good example of that would be if you listen to Fly Me to the Moon. Frank Sinatra starts on the beat. He's going, fly me to the moon. And then as time goes on, he starts to get a little bit behind. So listen to that, a remastered version or whatever, but you'll hear he is starting to get a little bit behind the beat, but it's intentional. It's back phrasing. And then he catches up to the beat. So I guess the question to ask is, are you doing it intentionally or not? If it's intentional and you are in control, then good. If you think you're on the beat and you are falling behind or getting ahead and it's not intentional, then that's not good. Manuel is saying, what about lip syncing? What about lip syncing? I'm confused by the question. Similar to what? I'm not sure. Let me see. So I guess Tyler, just going back to your question for a sec, the other tip, so planning your breaths ahead of time and then training yourself to take full catch breaths. So a lot of times you are not going to have even a full second to take a breath. So can you initiate your breath from your belly, relax your belly like really quickly, and take in that air fast? I guess that's a question I would have for you, and I'd encourage you to train that. Train yourself to be able to take a quick but efficient and full catch breath for those times where you don't have a full second to get a lot of air. All right, Manuel, let me know what you meant about lip syncing. And then Tyler has more awesome suggestions. Thank you, Tyler, for this one. And thank you, the Bop, for your suggestion as well. I think that's a really great one. I will write that down. And other suggestions would be an a cappella lesson and then more on intonation. Intonation is huge. Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. I am going to write down these suggestions. Pulse exercise. Yeah. Okay. If you need to go, you can definitely go. What Tyler was talking about is the pulse exercise. So going like he, and taking a breath in between each little note that you sing. Okay, so suggestions from today, more on intonation, a cappella singing. Actually, we could kind of do those together. We could do intonation with an a cappella singing focus. That'd be cool. Thanks, Kevin. Have a good weekend. And then Bop, transitioning smoothly from one vocal register to the next. Transition from one register to the next. Excellent. I love those ideas. Thank you guys for joining. I will see you next weekend. Bye.